All right, welcome to the Creation to Cash Flow podcast. On this podcast, we discuss strategies to help content creators and entrepreneurs improve their mindset so you all can achieve financial freedom. Michelle, how's it going?
It's good. I'm good. Everything's good.
There we go. That is a great attitude. Um, we have a very exciting, potentially horrifying topic for everyone today. Um, shall we just get right into it, or is there anything else exciting to share? I actually have an exciting life update potentially. I went to the gym yesterday and I did one of those in-body scans. And in the past 11 months, I've put on 3.7 pounds of muscle, which is a lot for an individual. So I was really proud of that milestone. Also, I got to go drop off a ton of money today for the new apartment that I am going to lease.
You got it?
Yes, sure
So
did.
exciting. I'm so happy
Yes.
for you.
I'm pretty excited. I had a very good day yesterday. I had a bunch of great things happen. But unfortunately, we have to shift this conversation to the potentially awful things that might happen to TikTok and how everyone, whether you're on TikTok or not, truly, we're just going to be talking about how to take care of your mind and your well-being when something that you relied on is taken away. Obviously, it's going to be about TikTok in this case, but this is the kind of episode that you might want to save for other times in your life that you might need it, that something that you rely on is removed from your life.
Yeah, this could be, yeah, the TikTok ban, but there's also how many people just lost their home in these Los Angeles fires? Like, everything, like, that wasn't even something they could have thought would happen. Like, we've heard about the TikTok ban for years, but losing your entire home and everything in it burnt to the ground, every single thing you own just poof, gone, your whole world shattered, and the world keeps going and keeps turning, which we'll talk about. But that's also like just another thing. But these kinds of things happen. Maybe they're not as tragic as losing a whole home or the whole platform you make money on goes away. But there are times whenever it still feels like the world is ending, even if it's not as big and doesn't affect as many people as that. So that's the kind of rainy day that this will hopefully uplift some people on.
First thing to acknowledge is that we're recording this on January 15th. By the time this comes out next week, maybe we have some concrete TikTok news, right? Maybe TikTok has been banned, maybe it hasn't. Maybe Donald Trump comes into office and is saying, hey guys, we need more time or we're going to figure it out. So we're recording this on the 15th, but regardless of what decision ends up happening, you still need to mentally prepare in this way because truly, I feel like preparation is everything. And this might be a scenario where maybe people feel like they were caught off guard because during TikTok's peak, when people were making a lot of money on there and getting all this attention and things, that really is the time to always prepare for when something like this could happen. I unfortunately lean too far in this direction. I like over prepare. Like I'm not like a doomsday prepper, but I feel like I am going to be when I'm older because I just am always like preparing, saving my money. I'm always thinking about worst case scenarios, not in a toxic way, right? Like I actively pour positivity into my mind all day long, but I always think about the worst case scenarios. Like what if something were to happen and I lost all my income or I lost my house? I was doing job interviews the other day. I was interviewing people and I asked them, this was before the LA fires, and I asked them, like my current assistant, I asked her on our interview, I was like, if your house just caught fire and you, assuming everyone made it out safely, but you can grab 3 personal items, what are the 3 personal items you would grab? Um, and I learned so much about her asking this question. So, Michelle, I want you to answer it actually, now that we're on this topic.
Wow. Well, whenever we last week were told We were in an evacuation warning, my area where I live. And so I did have to pack a go bag. I had to pack an evacuation bag. So I can see a silver lining in the fact that this happened, because it made me personally realize what I actually need and what I don't need, and what's replaceable and what's not replaceable. But the three things, I mean, you said aside from my people and my dog, right?
Yes, assuming they are perfectly safe, but you can grab 3 personal items that are important to you.
Oh, so not like food or water.
No, don't think too much like survival standpoint, more so like personal items.
Well,
Like you
and
don't have to be so practical as like I'm going to grab my UV water bottle, you know?
honestly, I don't think there's anything, because I did do that. I was like, there's a chance that this could burn. What do I need? And I literally grabbed food, water, my contact lenses, my eyeglasses, my Invisalign trays. But you're saying don't be that practical. But those are the things I grabbed. There was nothing. I mean, yes, I grabbed my passport and my IDs, like my military ID and stuff, and my computer and my mic pack. I didn't even grab my camera, because I'm like, whatever, I have a phone. I grabbed some chargers and I was like, okay, that's all I need. Like everything else is replaceable. I don't need all these other things. Like I just know how much of a headache it is to get new IDs, and I know how it would be very hard to get my same contact lenses, and I can't see without them. So those were honestly what I grabbed and put in my bag. There's nothing like too super sentimental here. I have a lot of stuff at my mom's in Texas, but like I just don't hold on to things. I just don't have emotional ties to, I guess, anything. Is that bad?
Not necessarily. I mean, if in an actual scenario, I would pack very differently. But to give you an example of like, this is supposed to be like a fun interview question, but unfortunately, it's very hard hitting because you literally had to do this
A week ago?
recently. But for this fun interview question, because I answered it too, just to be fair to the girl I was interviewing, I said I would grab my guitar, my journal, and my pillow cube, which is like the pillow I use is one of those that's like perfectly rectangular. It's called a pillow cube. It's the best. And I just kind of justified why I would bring those things. And I like this exercise to reel it all back to like people are like TikTok ban. I'm here for the TikTok ban. But to reel it all back, the reason that I like to think about this is because it's a fun exercise that reminds you that TikTok doesn't matter that much. Your Invisalign trays don't matter that much. Like most of the
Keep that to yourself. That is your opinion. I paid $8,000 for my teeth to be straight. I need to keep them straight this time.
Yes, I agree with you. You're right. They're very important. But the purpose of that exercise is to think about like what really matters in life.
Can I answer it like that then, instead of like
Sure.
actually what I just had to do?
Absolutely. Yes. Go ahead.
I would grab my treadmill. Not even kidding. I would grab my freaking walking pad, under desk treadmill, because it helps alleviate anxiety. It helps me with my mental health. It helps me with my physical health. Yes, it's replaceable, but that is one thing. I say it all the time. If I have to get rid of everything, I would grab my treadmill. That is so crucial for me every single day, especially during these fires. I was doing walks on my treadmill and Pilates so much because I was so anxious and I felt so like desperate, like I couldn't do anything. And so I was like, I need my treadmill. That is definitely, I would say that's like the number one thing that I think that at the end of the day, those are mental health and physical health are important to me. So yeah.
That's a really good one. That's more so like the kind of answer that I feel like we were itching for. Because it gives us a great look into like the little things that you do value. And again, the purpose of this exercise, and I want everyone listening to think about it, is because like the TikTok ban does not matter, and the goal is to reinforce to yourself that you don't need a lot to be happy in life and to be healthy, and to reinforce that you are okay. Being alive is the biggest gift in and of itself. If your income source is stripped away from you, or you lost your house, or whatever happens, that does not mean that your life now ends. That just means that you have all the opportunity in the world and no baggage. And yes, you're going to have to rebuild, and it's going to be difficult, and it could be expensive, and there's all these terrible downsides, but the silver lining in something terrible like this, like you kind of said before, like there is always that little silver lining, and it's the fact that you are still alive, right? TikTok being banned is not going to kill you. And this is the first thing I always want to mention before we get into like some more practical things to understand and to think about. Anytime something terrible happens, I always just resort into like feeling into my body and closing my eyes, putting my hand on my chest, feeling my heartbeat, and just remembering like I'm alive. I am still alive. This is not going to kill me. I got lot of stuff to figure out, but I'm gonna be just fine. So that is the first thing that I recommend everyone do should TikTok get banned and you're really stressed over.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, there's just so much to say about this because I've been obviously thinking about this for a while, but there's just something so powerful about the choice of shifting your perspective on something. Because even over the weekend, last weekend, I was spiraling. I was not in a good place. I was so emotional and it was just heavy. It was heavy because I'm such an empathetic person, which is great for acting, but not great whenever there's people all around that are just so sad. So it was very hard for me, but I had to keep, for one, I allowed myself the space to grieve and all of that and just to be like sad and feel what I felt. But I also was like, okay, what can I do? What are some things I can get from this? What are some things I could do to help with this? Like, but Nick, it could have been so easy for me to still be in that space of sadness and heaviness and heartbreak. And like, I could have gone down this rabbit hole of just looking at all these videos of people losing their house, all these videos. It is so easy to sit there and be consumed by the negativity and just like by the event that happened, like a TikTok ban or like a fire. It's just so easy to stay in that, and it honestly kind of feels good to stay in that, but it also is it's a false feeling of good. It's actually not good to stay in that. It is important to feel it, don't ignore it and have toxic positivity. But at the same time, I was like, okay, I've grieved, I've held this like funk in me for days and I don't know what to do and I'm on the verge of crying. If I talk to a human, I will start crying. Like I was very like, I didn't know what to do and I felt anxious and I was like, okay, let me get on my treadmill. Let me start doing Pilates. And I was like, what can I do? Because I'm not helping anyone by just being sad and sitting alone crying. That is not helping anyone, including myself, aside from, yes, it is helpful for my acting career. I can use that feeling in the future. But once I got it, I was like, okay, I need to get out of this now. I need to start donating. I need to start volunteering. I need to start shifting. And I have been more motivated and energetic and on the up this week since Sunday than I have been, I think, in the past year. I have been thriving in the past 3 days. I don't know what it is, but I think it's because I had to hit that downfall and I had to feel it. And I want everyone to hear this, that if TikTok gets banned and that's your source of income, please feel all the things you're feeling, process it, but then don't stay in it. Don't get mad at it. Don't feel like that was your only way, because life happens for you. Life does not happen to you. It is a door that may be closed, but there's a better one for you. And I just have to keep reminding people that, including myself, when it comes to anything in life.
Couldn't agree more. I say a lot of these things to everyone, but like I love doing this podcast with you because we get to remind ourselves of the things that we also are humans and need to hear. And you're very, very correct that it is so much easier to sulk and to sit there and be sad. And you're allowed to be sad, right? Especially given the severity of a situation. Losing TikTok, of course it's okay to be sad. Losing your house, completely different. You're going to feel that one forever. But on the TikTok front, you can't sit there and be sad forever. It's not going to solve any of your problems. And what you've got to do, like Michelle said, is you've got to sit there and have those moments of grief and sadness and anxiety and those things. And then after that, you got to do something positive. You got to get over it and you got to break the victim mentality as fast as you can, because it becomes very easy to just sit there and play victim. I know people where one bad thing has happened to them and they play the victim of it for the rest of their life, years and years and years. And it's so sad because I know the TikTok ban, I know that's going to happen to some people. I know there are people out there that don't listen to this podcast and that don't surround themselves and listen to positive things that reinforce good habits and behavior. I know there are people that are going to complain about this forever and then just say like, "Oh, I was going to be fine. I was going to be rich. I was going to be all these things, but then the TikTok ban happened." And people are going to complain like that happened to them. But instead, this is opening a million new doors because all of that screen time is not going anywhere. People are going to be on different apps. Brands still need to sell all of the things that they sell. Creators still need to make content for the brands. Average viewers and consumers still need to buy things in order to survive, or even just things that they want to buy for fun or fashion or whatever. But none of this is all disappearing from the earth, right? It's all just shifting, it's all just moving. So everyone is going to feel the effects of this TikTok ban should it happen, of course, but we can't sit there and just feel it forever without actually taking some action and moving in a new direction.
Exactly. And I also want to just go back a little bit to the sulking. I also know people who have been fired or something and they still blame their entire lifestyle and their habits on that one instance because they didn't get themselves out of that. But I just want to say it's also not easy. Like there's this study, guys, I don't remember what it is. I just remember hearing it, reading about it, but where a lot of people who are snappy and get angry easily or have that victim mentality, it's actually an addiction. They can't really control it because it's a chemical thing that happens in your head. You feel, like I said, it was easy to stay in that sulking period because it's like you feel this like feeling of something. It's like not dopamine, but it's similar to it. And that's why people crave that. So of course they want to keep talking about things that piss them off. They want to keep like just put all their attention on these crazy things because they feel this feeling. But I want to encourage everyone listening to this, please don't fall for that false feeling of that good chemical, whatever that is. I am so not a scientist, but I just hope you understand what I'm putting down and you're picking it up because it is a thing, Nick. It's a thing that most of the society around us has. They have this, like, they crave it, right? It's like all those people that are so mad about politics all the time. I'm like, whoa, honey, you need to do a little breath work and maybe go sit in a sauna and like shut up. So I don't know. It's just, it's one of those things that like, we get it, but also you have to pull yourself out of it because no one's going to pull it out for you. You're not going to get pulled out by someone. You have to do it for yourself. But if you're listening to this, you're most likely already doing that for yourself. But we're here to help you because it's not easy to get out of it. It's the craziest thing.
That was so excellent, especially the part we're gonna have to clip that where you're like, oh, those people that are obsessed with politics, like get in a sauna, do some breath work, and shut up. Like
Yeah.
that has to be a clip. But I mean, everything you said there was spot on, even though it was delivered in an amazing and hilarious way. You're truly right about all of that. Like, what are you going to do when shit hits the fan? Like, are you going to guard your mindset, take good care of yourself, or are you going to sit there and complain about it? Because sure, it sucks. It's massively inconvenient, and this is going to hurt a lot of people if TikTok gets banned. But at the same time, how long can you cry about it before moving on and saying, you know what? I'm going to have to put in a lot more work. I'm going to have to work harder. I'm going to have to improve my mindset. I'm going to have to take really good care of my body. And I'm going to have to get to work on something new. And that is the biggest opportunity ever because a lot of people are not going to be willing to put in that work because they don't listen to podcasts that improve their mindsets and they don't surround themselves with positive people. And because it's easier to be a victim, so I hope that at least lands with everyone. You picking up what Michelle's putting down before we kind of move on to our next topic, but go ahead. You look like you got something.
I actually do. I had two things to say, but I lost one of them. Unfortunately, I lost the one that was more helpful, but the other one that's still in my head, and maybe this is something I'll cut out, but the visual of when you said when shit hits the fan, what are you going to do about it? Think about you're in your bedroom and there is a pile of dog shit that gets thrown into the fan and it splatters all over the walls, okay? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna look at it and be like, oh, well, my walls used to be white, but then this thing happened and now it's just around me and it's festering and now it's growing maggots and it smells? No. What are you gonna do? You're gonna clean it up, and that's what we're encouraging you to do. Literally think about poop on your walls. What are you gonna do about it? That is just as important as what you're gonna do about anything bad that happens to you. I don't know the other point I was gonna say. It was actually really helpful and really profound, but all I could think about was poop on the walls, so sorry.
Nope, this was perfect. I encourage you to leave that in. That's a great analogy. I mean, that's why they say it, like that that's a great way to think of it. Like, you're going to sit there and literally let the smell make you sick, or are you going to start cleaning it, even though that's going to take a long time to clean, and there might be a little stench left over for a good while, but like, clean up your shit. And you're on it today. This is one of our best episodes, I think.
I think that I've allowed, after our meeting with Kate, I was like, oh, I could bring more of my personality to these. I don't have to be some perfect, like, speaking person. I can be like kind of the off the cuff. Some of the things I say, I'm like, where did that come from? So I think I'm just like opening up a little. After 90, what is this, 94 episodes? I'm like, oh, I can be myself.
I was about to say 93 episodes in, Michelle, we're getting the real Michelle. But this is why we do it, and I love it because you're making me laugh a lot today, and you are hilarious always. So it's nice that we're getting a lot of this. All right, next topic. Financially, I know people are going to be like, okay, all of this mindset stuff is great and all and helpful, but like, I was making a lot of money and that was my source of income. Like, now what? Um, I want to remind you guys what matters over money. I did not invent this analogy. Some people say Brad Lee invented it. Some people say, I don't know. I don't care who it was. It's genius. Michelle, I'm going to walk you through it. Maybe you've heard it. If not, play along. But Michelle, if I were to give you $10 million today, would you accept it?
Yes.
How would you feel?
Grateful.
Cool. What if I told you that by accepting this money, though, that also means that today is going to be the last day of your life if you accept this money? So you won't wake up tomorrow if you accept this money. Would you still accept it?
Hell no.
Hell no. Because truly, waking up tomorrow is worth more than $10 million. It's worth more than $100 million. It's worth more than any amount of money in the world. You would not want to be super rich for a day if it meant you can't wake up tomorrow. Which means that if tomorrow and every single day of your life is truly worth more than any amount of money could ever buy, yes, it sucks if your income source was ripped away from you, but you'll find a new one. You will find a new way to make ends meet, assuming that you take good care of your mind and you get yourself out there and you get out of the rut that this might put you in. And you start getting creative and you start controlling what you can control, because you can't control whether TikTok gets banned or not. You can call your representatives and senators. And if by the time we post this, that is still a useful thing to do, please do it. That is our ask for this week. If you've been meaning to leave us a review, save it for next week. Or do both if you're really feeling crazy. But regardless, if every day is worth more than $10 million, $100 million, and we all just remind ourselves of that, suddenly losing this income source, it loses a little bit of the power that we think it has over us.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like, it's important, like you said earlier, to prep financially, to prep mentally, that things might be taken away eventually. I always have that in mind. You said the doomsday thing. I was like, that's so relatable, because there are so many times that I'm like, oh, this is amazing, but it won't be forever. Like, even in this penthouse I'm in, I'm like, okay, well, this isn't forever. Like, enjoy it now. But then I'm like, wait, but if I can have this, I can have more things. So let me just financially be smart, put away 6 months worth of all my expenses. More than that, actually. I had to have like a year's worth set aside. And so that way I don't feel so emotionally terrified whenever something like this happens. I know that wasn't a direct response to what you just said, but it made me think of it where it's just like, you have to also know that if you've had it before, you can have it again. It might just look different, but you have to open your mind to that possibility, or it won't ever be a possibility.
And all the people that now say like, TikTok was it, like, I'll never be able to make that kind of money again. Everyone who says that to themselves will be correct. They won't make that kind of money again, because they're pretty much saying that it's not possible. And if you don't believe something is possible, I promise it won't come true. So you really have to believe that you are going to figure out how to do it on Instagram or YouTube or Amazon or whatever app comes next, and wherever all of this attention shifts to. I want everyone to truly remind themselves that this is only going to hurt you if you let it hurt you. It might temporarily, it might be a little bit funky temporarily, sure, but it's not going to kill you. And you have to remind yourself of that, and that the strong ones that take good care of themselves are going to survive, and they're going to probably be better off, honestly.
Yeah, and also, guys, just remember how clunky MySpace was. The world keeps getting better at these apps. Yes, TikTok is the best way to grow, easiest way to make money right now. But if people have done this before, it's only gonna get better and easier, and people are only consuming more and wanting more, and you can bring your personality, like I am finally, and you can entertain people or just inform people of your simple life. And so use this as an opportunity to see new paths that you've never allowed yourself to see because you love TikTok. That's totally great. You should. But that means there's only something better out there because we're only getting smarter, especially with AI. So it's like, yeah, it's easy now, but how much easier is it going to be in the future? There is also a thing that I think a lot of people have in their head where they think that maybe there's not enough. Like, there's a limited amount of money. That's not true. There's an abundance amount of money. There is also an abundance amount of opportunities. There's plenty enough for you. If you feel like you're supposed to do something in life, I promise you there is a spot for you to do it. It's not like you're behind. It's not like it's going to fill up. Absolutely fucking not. No. Sorry for the F word, but that's such a lie that I think we even subconsciously tell ourselves, and it's not true. There is enough for you. There is enough people, there is enough brand collabs, there is enough money, there is enough of an audience to watch your stuff. Like, there is enough for you. It will be okay. I know it's terrifying though, but just remind yourself abundance. Like, your people will continue finding you on other apps.
It's true. And it also kind of comes back to like you said, a lot of these apps are getting better. Like I see other ones coming about right now where creators don't need to have any followers and they get paid by their views and you can promote products in similar ways. I'm seeing a lot of things like that come out right now. And also, it's very hilarious how everyone has banded together and is moving to Red Note, which is literally the Chinese Communist Party version of TikTok, like just as a big fuck you to the government. Like a lot of people, like big creators too, have moved over there. And that's a wonderful demonstration of like, look, you could take TikTok away from us, but we're not going anywhere. We're not going to go silently. And just like what you were seeing and mentioning with the fires by you, there's something so beautiful in this chaos when everyone comes together and unites, even though even the chaos of trying to unite and all do one thing, when some people are like, no, we're going to this app, and others are like, no, we're going here. It's still beautiful to watch people try and work together during times like this. It's never going to be perfect, right? You can never get a huge group of people to all act in the exact same way, but it's beautiful just watching people come together and lean on each other. And that's another thing I want to remind everyone is that you are not alone in this. If you made all your money on TikTok and now it's getting taken from you, it's not like this is only hurting you. This is going to hurt a lot of people. And I want you to lean on those other people and lean on us, lean on our podcast. Give us your voice, your 90-second voice notes on creationtocashflow.com. If you need or have some mindset questions or some things that you want us to help you with or to discuss or turn it into an episode, we're here for you. We, by the way, just to remind all of y'all this, we pay out of our pockets to put this show on for you guys. We've never accepted any money from any advertisers, even though there are a lot of people that would love to be on this show advertising their products. We have not accepted any money from anyone to do this for you guys. We pay out of our pocket. So the least you could do is at least utilize it, right? It's here for you and it's free. So all you need to do is support the show, give us a good rating, send us your voice memos and questions and things you want us to talk about, and we're here to help.
Yeah, literally, please. That's what we're here for, guys.
With that said, let's roll into our next topic. I want to talk more about that, doing something for someone else and how good that feels, because that is something you can empower yourself with, right? I know it feels backwards where like you just lost things or something was just taken away from you. I know it feels backwards to now think that this is the time to do something charitable and help other people, but truly it will remind you that that is what life is all about. Because in that same like money analogy, Michelle, let's say I gave you $1 billion right now, but it's not like end of life tomorrow if you accept it. Let's just say I gave you $1 billion. And now boom, you have that. You could go do whatever you want with the rest of your life. Sure, you'll probably enjoy a lot of materialistic things for a little while, whether that's 10 years, a year, or 10 weeks. But pretty soon you're going to be like, honestly, I don't feel any joy from materials anymore because of how wealthy I am. And the only thing that makes me happy is just helping other people. And knowing that no matter how much money you have, if everything always comes back to it feels best to help other people, whether you just lost all of your money or you just made $1 billion, if you need to do something that's going to make you feel good, help someone else out.
Yeah, always. I mean, even whenever I worked at a nonprofit and didn't make any money, I would still just want to go volunteer. Like, I took off work to volunteer because I knew this is going to fulfill me. This is going to make me happy. And with these fires, people that have lost their houses are helping others who've also lost their houses, and they're coming together, like you said. And it's just like, there's nothing better than taking the attention off you when it's something that you're not in control of. If you're not in control of the TikTok ban, then you can take your mindset off of what's happening to you and then somehow add value to others, encourage others, do what me and Nick are doing. I mean, listen, we're both on TikTok. That's both of our biggest platforms. That's our biggest following, both of us. But for me, knowing that I'm able to help others, it just takes all of the weight off of myself and gets the focus off of me, because I'm never going to win anything or get better if I'm just focusing on myself. And I feel so good giving to someone else, even if it's just words of wisdom.
You just made me realize that I have 530,000 followers that I might lose, but like the only reason I'm just realizing it is because I don't really give a shit, to be honest. Like I as much as I value and love every single person, I mean 530,000 people that have literally decided to push that little red button and be like, I want a little more of that in my life. I'm so grateful for that. So it's not that I don't care, but like what am I going to do? What am I going to sit here and cry about it? Like truly, so what if I lose my biggest platform? I really don't care that much because I'm still gonna feel good every day by helping other people, by doing this show with you, Michelle, by hosting our coaching calls for Brands Meet Creators. Like I'm still gonna do the things that make me feel good every day. The thing that makes me feel good every day is not opening my app like a crazy person and just looking at how many followers I have, because I used to have 570,000. But a lot of people did not like my truths and my call outs. And that was good, actually. I ended up honing in my audience a little bit by telling them the truth and the things that they might not want to hear. But all of that just to say, like, we're going to be very negatively affected by this TikTok ban if it happens. And even still, I'm just going to re-listen to this episode if it gets banned. Like that's what I'm going to do, because when we're saying these things, it lands differently when we're saying it to each other. I re-listen to these episodes sometimes to continue beating things into my brain that I know are going to help me in the long run. So it's very interesting thinking about losing all of those people, but yet I'll find another way to help them. And that's what's going to make me feel good in life.
Yeah, and again, I always say if you've done it once before, you can do it again. Like to me, I'm like, oh, this was possible once. I am not in the limited mindset that that was the only time it was possible. I'm very much so in the mindset of, oh, I've done it before, I could do it again, and it's gonna be even better. Because that's how life works. Life happens for me. It's for me to get better, for me to grow, for me to have happiness and joy and abundance. That is what life is for. That is what all of these events out of my control are doing. They're helping me grow and become better so I can help more people. End of story. So I have to tell myself that, and I will be listening to that again, because there are so many things that creep in that don't say that, and even in my own head. And so some of these things that I say, I mean, 100% of what I say, I don't think about saying. So a lot of times when I start talking, I don't remember what the heck I said. I'm like, what did I say? So of course I go back and listen to this, because I'm like, what did Michelle say in that instance? Almost like I'm a freaking schizophrenic, like it wasn't me. But it's these things that come out of us because we're being used as almost like a vessel to share knowledge that we all need to hear, definitely including ourselves.
It's so funny that you mentioned this, because Michelle sometimes has a brilliant idea on a call where we're talking about things that could potentially make us a ton of money or help a ton of people or a new business idea. And Michelle will give something great. And we're like, Michelle, say that again. And you might be like, say what again?
Yeah. Like, what did I say?
Yeah, it is amazing how your brain works, and all of the positive and genius things that come out of it, um, even if you don't even know it. And this is one of your gifts, which leads me into our next topic. If TikTok gets banned and y'all are still trying to figure out what you're going to do, spend some time thinking about what your gifts are. Because to be honest, when we started this podcast, I don't know if me and Michelle knew nearly as confidently anyway, or maybe we didn't know at all what our gifts were. Like, I don't know if I always knew what my gift, like my zone of genius is, but right now I feel more confident than ever that knowing that people management and helping people and leading people is my gift. That's my zone of genius. And Michelle's is creation and ideation and editing and everything in that realm. But there were times in my life when I was leaving my full-time job, thinking about leaving it, or all sorts of things happening, that I would truly just get a piece of paper and write down my skills. I would make a T-chart, and I would say, on the left side, here are all of the things I'm really good at. I'm a great communicator. I'm really good at math. I'm really good at speaking. I'm really good at acting on the fly. These are things that I'm good at. And then I would make a list of things I love. I love golf. I love fishing. I love yoga. I love to help other people. I love self-improvement. And I made a list like that. And then I was like, all right. And I was trying to draw lines and connect things. And I was like, all right, I'm a good communicator. I love self-improvement. I think I want to be a life coach. And I was 21 years old making that decision. And I was like, I don't know if that's a great plan on paper. It doesn't matter if it's a great plan on paper. It matters, what are you good at and what do you love? And if you can find something to relate those two things or two of those things from this chart, again, the chart, left side, things that you are good at, right side, things that you love, make some connections to it and figure out what you're going to do next.
I love that. I've never thought about doing that. That's so good.
That was how I came up with all of my business ideas and ventures, all the way from like my first one to like helping people trade stocks and foreign exchange markets online, starting like a golf channel on YouTube and Instagram with my buddies, then becoming a life coach, becoming a yoga teacher, like everything goes back to this list, and I remake it fairly often because you can also always add to it. You might find something new that you love that maybe 6 months ago you had never done before, or you might spend some money or spend some time learning something new and a new skill, and then finding out I'm actually good at that now, and you can add it to the list. And as you continue to learn new skills and try new things, the avenues for you to make up a new job or income source become practically infinite.
Yeah, I think also it's important to know what you're not good at. And if you also don't love that thing, then that's not something you should be doing. But some people aren't good at something, but they love it. So I think that is something you can press into. You know, there's all those like conflicting things out there that it's like, if you're not good at something, you should put all your attention and energy on that so you can learn it. But then there's other things that are like, if you're not good at something, don't focus on that. That's not your zone of genius. What are you doing? And I think it's not about whether you're good or bad. I think it's about, do you love it? Do you want to be good at it? Then freaking go for it. If you're not good at playing guitar, but you really want to play, go for it. Do it. But if you hate music, obviously don't spend time doing that. Like what? So I think it's also important to know, what are you not good at and what do you not enjoy? So that way you can cross that off, because we only have such a limited time here. And there were things that I was doing, like you said, when we started this podcast, that I am just not good at and I hate doing. I hate it. So what did I do? I've hired people to help me do those things. And now I can focus more on my zone of genius so I can be helpful and teach people how to create content and share my crazy, wacky personality with, that is like, people think I'm like some put together person, and then they talk to me and they're like, oh, you're normal. Like, you're very like, what? You're all over the place. I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're so funny. There is a word for essentially finding this balance. There's not an English word for it, but there's a Japanese word for finding this balance. It was on my Christmas list to get this book. Thankfully, my good friend Richie bought it for me. But the word, I hope I get this all right. I know how to say the word, but it's essentially the balance of like four things. One is something you love, two is something that makes you money, three is something that helps other people, I believe, and four is something that keeps you healthy. And the combination of the four of those things, like the balance of it, I hope I got those four things right. The Japanese word for it is called ikigai.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yes, Ikigai. I'm going to look it up real quick and just make sure that I didn't totally butcher that for you guys.
Was that in one of Robin Sharma's books?
Totally. He totally put that in there. Rob Deerdeck is attributes a lot of his success to reading this book. So once I start it, Michelle, I'll buy you a copy. Um, okay, here are the four things. I was pretty close. Um, it's essentially, what is ikigai? A reason to live, a passion that brings value and joy to your life, something that inspires you to get out of bed each day, and something that makes a difference in other people's lives. And it's about finding the balance of those things. Oh, it can be worded better. I'm going to go one more time. It can be worded better as what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you are good at. And the balance of all of those is your ikigai. And if you look in between each of them, I'm looking at this beautiful Forbes circle graph. Like in between what you love and what you're good at is where your passions are. In between what you love and what the world needs is your mission. In between what you can be paid for and what you're good at is your profession. And it's just beautiful to see all of this in one place. And I recommend, I haven't even read this book yet, but anyone who just feels like now you're completely lost, I'll add this book to my storefront and I will send you a copy, Michelle. And or I'll hand deliver it to you in February.
Yay,
Even
in like a
better.
couple weeks.
Yes. But anyway, that's a great place to go. If you feel like this TikTok ban has you completely lost and you don't know what to do with your life, like, yes, you could make my T chart, but I got to figure reading this book is probably going to be a little more profound and impactful for you. So yeah, that's Ikigai. And I have to make a note to buy you a copy.
Wow, I love that. Yeah, I know that term. I've heard of it. Couldn't remember where I heard it, but like so powerful. That's such a good thing to focus on too, because again, get your focus off what is happening that is not in your control. But it's like one of those things where you have to shift it to like, okay, this store is closing. What else is out there? What other avenues can I explore? Which is where my ADHD thriving comes in, because I really love change. I really love the newness, like it's almost like a challenge and like a puzzle I have to solve, where it's like I think this might be like something I need therapy for, but I kind of love whenever I'm procrastinating and I have a deadline, or like something chaos is happening and I need to figure out a solution. I don't know what that is, but I really thrive, and like I open my mind up more whenever I'm in that state. And so it's like, allow yourself to be in that state and see more, instead of seeing it as this like terrifying, detrimental thing that's going to hurt you, because it's not. Because remember, life is not here to hurt you. Life is here to help you. Things happen to help you. So allow them to help you and not focus on the things that are lies, where this is hurting you or this is going to be harmful to you. No, it's going to be helpful for you.
It's so true. And all of the skills and traits that people wish that they had, right? Like, for example, Michelle, the traits that a person usually wants that would like deem them successful, like everyone just is like, I want money, I want wealth. But really, in order to get there, it's about like being resilient. It's about being able to solve problems creatively. It's about being able to be resourceful. And I could think of probably 100 others. I know you can too. But realistically, in order to become those things, right? In order to become resourceful, sometimes you got to have your resources taken away from you so you can see, what am I going to do now? And in order to become resilient, sometimes you got to get the shit kicked out of you, whether that's mentally or physically or financially or whatever, in order to find a way around and then say, that made me more resilient. So yes, the TikTok ban sucks and it's going to be negative, but it's an opportunity to build all of these character traits in yourself that ultimately lead to your financial freedom and whatever kind of wealth you desire.
Yeah. And if you love TikTok or you love just, I don't know, there's so many different reasons why people are really scared for this. It's not even just financial. Some of it is just like, I feel like I can't post these things on Instagram. I feel like I can't do these things. Just remember, there's gonna be some platform that you're gonna love even more than TikTok. You're gonna love making money on there. You're gonna love sharing who you are on there. Whatever it is that you specifically love, there is something else out there, but you won't find it if you're not looking for it and if you don't believe it's possible to be there. So just know that, like, it's okay to be upset. Yes, it sucks. Whatever happens, even having to deal with this sucks. It's so stupid. I'm like, why are we having to deal with this? But we are. So you know what? I shifted. I'm like, you know what? Okay, what can I do about it? And I am gonna post my first YouTube video. That's a 2025 goal for me. I am so excited, and that's that newfound like excitement. I used to dread the thought of a YouTube video. I was like, screw that, I will never do that. I'm not cut out for that. But suddenly I'm capable now. And I'm like, oh, I think I could do this. I think that might be possible. In the past, I'm like, that would never be possible. I would hate talking for that long. I hate horizontal videos. But meanwhile, what? We have a podcast. Like, that's exactly what this is. So I don't know what I was talking about. But anyway, just know, you guys, like, even if you don't feel it in your soul now, you might get this newfound excitement, this newfound energy, this newfound unlocking in your brain that wasn't there before because of this. And I really hope that for every single person listening, that that's what happens to you.
All of our podcast episodes are on YouTube too. So you actually are a YouTube creator and you put up a video every single week. You just might not directly push the button. But to get back to what you were saying, I want everyone to, this is probably what we'll wrap up on. I want everyone to think of all the people that motivate you. Maybe it's me and Michelle. If so, I'm flattered. But why haven't you rated the show 5 stars yet? And if it's someone else that comes to mind, think about their story, because chances are their story is not that smooth, right? Like people that I look up to, that I listen to their podcast or that I have coached me, they've all been through some shit, a lot worse than this TikTok ban. Like, for example, one of my favorite books that I read when I was first getting started in business and I was not used to getting beaten up so much was called Hustle, Believe, Receive. It's a story of 51 different like entrepreneurs and athletes and people that went on to become very famous. And it's their stories of like manifestation, but also like the shitty parts, like living out of their car while trying to build a business. And because they lost their house because they were so committed to their idea, and then going on to become a multi-billionaire. And like, there's just so many crazy turnaround stories. And I want you all to remember that like every good movie starts with, and every good story and every good book and every person telling a story on stage, they often start with this part where things are shitty. You lost everything. And by the way, losing TikTok, you're not losing everything, which is great. You might be losing something important, but this is where all the good stories start. You know, what I told myself when I first started making content, I was like, pretend a camera crew is following me around. Joe Rogan said to do this, and it helped me a lot. Pretend a camera crew is following you around all day. They're watching everything you do, and you got to turn your life around. And this is the rainy, dark scene where you're walking down the alley with your hood up and you're all upset over the fact that you just lost your job. Meanwhile, this is also where you can turn it around, right? You start going to the gym, eating the good foods, your content diet improves because you're not on TikTok anymore. And now you're only listening to positive things like this podcast or whatever, and turn it all around. Every single one of you can do it. I know you can, because if you listen to this show, you care enough about your mind to listen to this episode. And for that, we love you. And all we ask is that you rate the show, you participate, you send us voice memos on creationtocashflow.com and let us know about your problems or topics or things you want us to talk about. I guess we could wrap up there. I hope everyone knows that this is not the end of the world. You're going to be just fine. We're going to be just fine. And we're here to support you. When TikTok gets banned or any other shitty thing happens, we're always here to support you guys. And this is why we do the show and pay our own money to make it happen for you. So we love you guys. And thanks for listening.